Welcome back. You're moving right along with your record book. We've talked about the overview of what all you need to go with your record book, where to find your forms and information. We went over the county report form. That's a very important first piece, that first section of your book. And today we're going to look at the 4-H story. This is actually the second section of your book. Now, that first one was pretty technical. It was a lot of professional stuff, a lot of summarizing and succinctly putting in all of the things that you've done. Your story is your opportunity to give me that narrative, to really tell what you did in your own words. The funny stuff that happened, maybe some sad stuff happened with your projects. Maybe you had some goals that you didn't quite get to. Maybe you learned some things that you're going to use and apply next year. And maybe 4-H helped you figure out what you want to do in the future. Those are all great things to include in your 4-H story. So what does a 4-H story look like? Well, here's what it looks like. It's typed or handwritten. That's up to you. What's going to work? No more than 6 pages for your big overall story. Now, 6 is a lot of pages, guys. So a good rule of thumb is maybe a page for every year you've kind of been in 4-H. So if this is your first or second year, 1 or 2 pages, probably going to tell us what we need to know. Just remember, the story's worth about 25 points out of your total 100. So you want to make sure that you do a good job putting that information in there, showing me how you've grown and what you've learned, what you've done within 4-H. So we want it to be double spaced and single sided. So if you handwrite it, of course, you want to write neatly, legibly, and still single side of the page. We don't want anything on the back side. That's how you're going to put it together. So on the website, you'll see there's a form for a handwritten story that has the heading at the top. You can print that out and write on the lines, or you can create your own. Okay, we also have one where you can go in and actually type in the lines and put that information. Again, you can just create your own with a heading and type that information in there. Now, we want the font to be large enough that it's easy to read. It's not going to kill our eyes trying to squint down at all of it, okay? And then double spaced, single sided. So those are important things to remember when you get ready to write your story and put your book together. So one of the things you can also find, and again, we're glad to email this to you. You can get it off the website. You can print it out. We can print it for you, is a worksheet. If you're not creative, you don't want to do the writing, here's a great way to get started, because this sheet helps ask you some questions just to get you started on thinking about, what do I want to put in my story? This is the story for the year. When you become a senior 4-H member, you have the opportunity to compile all of your stuff into one book. We talked about that in the introduction, that you can submit that to showcase your entire 4-H career. At that point, you're going to write a story that covers your entire 4-H career, the whole time you've been in. All I'm asking for now for this record book is what you did in the last year, the things you learned, the projects you really liked, maybe something special, a service project or a leadership thing that you really enjoyed and want to do again, those types of things. So when we look at this, it's going to help walk us through some of the content we can put in our story. Some of you are just going to sit down and write a story. I get that, and that's great. But everyone doesn't always think that way. So let's go through and see kind of some ideas. We want to start maybe with an attention getter. Something, either a funny situation that happened, maybe a cutesy little joke that goes along with one of your projects. There's some examples here when you work on the worksheet to get the reader's attention and make them want to get more information. Maybe it's an inspirational quote that you like that speaks to what you did in 4-H this year. Then you're going to start with your introduction. Tell who you are. Now, we know that within this book, it already tells me your name and the 4-H club you're in and how old you are, but we need our story to be its own piece. So if I take your story out of your record book and just give it to someone to read, they're going to get all the information they need about you just out of that story. So that's something to think about, because we will also submit your story to the essay contest for New Mexico 4-H. And there's an opportunity there to win a scholarship for one of the statewide events that they host. So just remember, even though some of this information is other places in your book, This kind of brings it all together in your own words to share your experience with 4-H. Okay, so in that introduction, you're going to want to, talk about maybe where you live and where you go to school and what grade you're in and just all of the kind of things, why you joined 4-H, what was your favorite project, something along those lines that you think is interesting to be part of that introduction. Okay, and once you have their attention and you've got that introduction in there, you're going to work on the body of your story. So again, in the worksheet, there's some questions that you can answer to help build this up. So first of all, how did you learn things about your project? Did you go to workshops? Did you watch things online? Did you read articles? Did you just try things and see if it worked? What were the things that were helpful to you? How did your project work? Did it improve? Did you increase the number over time? How have you grown in doing that project and what you're doing? And talk about your club experiences. Were you a club officer, or did you do a really cool activity at one of your club meetings that you really liked? Share that type of information. And what are some things that you did that worked really well, and maybe some things that didn't work so well? Sometimes we try things and we either really don't like it or it just doesn't work. And that's the kind of stuff we learn and grow from. So those are great things to share in your story. And then how did you deal with that when it didn't work? All of the parts and pieces of what you did throughout the year can feed into the body of your story. So again, every year you're going to build on that and have a little bit more to tell and a little bit more to tell, so that up to that 6 pages, by the time you're a senior 4-H'er, you're going to have all of these great experiences that you want to tell us about. Okay, so that's the body. And then finally, you're going to have that summary. You're going to wrap it up for us and bring your story to a close. Don't just stop. Make sure that you have those concluding sentences that makes it all flow. Because again, your story is a part of your score. So you need to make it appropriate, to make it fit. And it's part of the competition piece for your awards. Now, there's a couple of different things within your record book. There's awards you get for completing it and completing it correctly and well. And then there's awards where you're compared to the other books. So everybody's probably going to get something related to completing your book, but there's also that opportunity to go on and win more, as well as, like I said, sending your story on for the state essay contest. So you want to make sure you do a good job in writing it and putting the information together. So any other special things you did, plans you have for the future, maybe you learned something that made you think that's the career I really want to have. Share that information with us as kind of wrapping up what you did and how it worked for you. Okay, the bottom piece of that worksheet is just some reminders. So I want you to remember, when you do your story, you can incorporate some of the things that you've done other places, but just like we talked about with our county report form, this is our 4-H book. So when we read your story, we want to hear about the 4-H things you did, or how what you learned in 4-H helped you be successful in another group or organization, not just about those other groups and organizations. So think about that. Be creative. We want it to sound like you're telling your friend about 4-H and the cool things you got to do. It's okay to have quotes. It's okay to have quotes from other people. It's okay to be funny if you want to, or if you're trying to be inspirational because you have something really great to share. But a big piece, and this is throughout your entire book, but your story especially, but everything, is you need to proofread it. Proofread it yourself, have somebody else proofread it. Make sure that you begin sentences with a capital letter. Make sure that all sentences have punctuation, that they're not big run-on sentences, that words are spelled correctly, that the word is the correct word. We get spoiled a lot, and we're using this type of computer program that catches words that are spelled wrong. But if you put in form instead of from, it thinks that word is spelled correctly, and it doesn't tell you, oh no, that's not the word you wanted. So those are things we have to proofread for. So make sure that you go back and read your story, maybe read it out loud to someone, because sometimes we catch things as like, oh, that sentence didn't really make sense, and have someone else look it over for you. Okay, again, I'm Mindy with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service. So if you have questions or you need help in getting information, forms, everything put together for your record book, give us a call here at the Extension office, and we would love to help you out. I look forward to reading your story.